This is a map of the world showing where newspapers are. Okay? Let's zoom in on Portugal. Why are all the newspapers in Portugal in blue? Well, you go over to this thing and you discover that blue are newspapers printed in Portuguese. No surprise. Okay? And so on. But you can see the different colors. You know, French. Here's some other ones. This is probably Catalan, I guess, in Spain, or Basque, perhaps, and so on. So anyway, a map. You can also, once you have set it up, you can click on it, and information about each one will pop up because there's data behind here. A pivot table it's like a spreadsheet. It's a table with information about all the things, but it goes beyond and shows you information about it. So that was somebody's. Let's go look at another one here that somebody created. Come on, machine. Let's kill this and go find another one. Okay. I'm going to go to pivot tables again. Google Fusion Tables. Here we go. This is one that was actually done by a newspaper in Washington, way over on the west coast of the United States, where all these different school districts are shaded in by the amount of poverty, the number of poor people in there. And again, there's data behind this that they use to create it. But you can click on any particular one, and it will pull up information about the poverty levels in each one. The nice thing about Fusion tables, beyond just being able to kind of explore your data and look at the patterns and so on, is it will actually create a interactive map like this that will give you a link and you can put it on your website. Okay, so this is why newspapers are using this. They're putting it on their own websites as a way of showing the data they have. Let's back out a little bit and you can see that. Let's see another one here. This one actually is, I'm pretty sure, is Portugal. Yes. This happens to be bicycle trails around the Lisbon area. And we can zoom in a bit. Okay. So each of these are bicycle trails, and this should have some information about, this is how that particular trail changes in elevation. This is the part I would want to avoid if I was on the bicycle. Okay. It's tough enough. My apartment is up near Castello, and so I have to walk up like 450 steps from Rocio to get to it. So anyway, you can see the kinds of things that can be done. I love doing mapping things. I happen to use a program called ArcMap, which is a commercial program. It will do actually very interesting geographical analysis. For instance, you can do something where if you have a map that shows the location of all the elementary schools in your area, and then you have another layer that shows the location of all the drug arrests, people arrested for selling or using drugs in your area. You can put those two layers together, and software like ArcMap will answer questions like how many drug arrests occurred within 500 meters of a elementary school. So in other words, which are the worst places to be? Those kinds of questions are possible with this kind of software. So I say ArcMap is very good, very powerful. It's also expensive. It's one and I get it happily. I get it for free because my university has a site license. But a lot of newspapers, it's too expensive for the newspaper to work with. But again, very powerful. You're obviously interested in this kind of thing. You ought to talk to people over in your geography department. I bet they're using ArcMap, and it's a great tool for doing journalism stuff with. I've talked at you for the best part of 3 hours. You've been incredibly patient to sit and listen to it, particularly having to sit and watch me get to play on the computer when you didn't get to play. But I hope it's given you some things that you can perhaps try on your own. Let me show you one other thing that you can write down and then play with a bit yourself. Let me pull that up this way. Let's do it this way here. I'm going to go to www.public.asu.edu /. Okay. This particular, I don't know if you can see that. Whoops, how do you do this? I don't know what the, can you read that up there? It's www.public.asu.edu, it's my university, /tilde Doig for me, SDOIG, /JMC 465. Okay? If you go there, you will find this stuff there. One of them will be the PowerPoint that I talked to you tonight from, this one down here, computer-assisted reporting. There's another PowerPoint talking about getting public records in Portugal. These were all things that I used when I did an 8-hour talk at Senjor the other day. There's a PowerPoint on newsroom math, which I urge you to take a look at, and so on. There are also some handouts on how to do some of these kinds of things that I've been talking about with Excel. And over here is the same kind of data. Here is the crimes that we were looking at a minute ago. And down here is the auto accidents we just looked at. But there are other things as well. There's election data, there's death rates. All these things are information I've gotten off of Portugal websites. So if any of what I've shown you tonight has intrigued you a little bit, go download this, open it up in Excel, and start exploring and see what you can make Excel do for you. Okay? Any last minute questions anybody have?
Do you know what is my main issue with this?
Mm-hmm.
Me, I'm a journalist.
Mm-hmm.
Producing these data myself or using them or analyzing them does make me, I don't feel confident. I'm used to using the data from a source.
Of course.
A reliable
Right.
source that already treats them. It gives them treated.
Right.
I have doubts about being me, the journalist, doing it, analyzing it.
Okay, and that's a perfectly legitimate feeling to feel. I mean, because again, like I told you before, when you do this kind of thing, you are being the expert. Okay, and you know, the best way to do this kind of thing is do the kind of thing I'm talking about, but then take your results to one of the experts. Say, I have done this study. It shows me that, you know, here's the pattern of accidents. You know, go to a source at the National Auto Safety Agency, and you know, they'll look at it and say, oh my God, you're way wrong, or they'll say, yes, it looks like you're right. The only way you get confident doing this is by doing it. You do it, you check it. You know, you should always sort of independently check your results. You should never just sort of, well, I got this, it must be right. So, you know, so your instinct to be cautious is good. But I would say don't let that instinct overpower your ability to do something that maybe the government wouldn't get around to doing. You know, if you have to sit and wait for government to do some interesting study that you could actually do yourself, I don't think that would be good. That help at all? Okay, yeah, basically try it. Don't rush out and print it, but you know, create a spreadsheet like that, do some answers, look at it and say, does it make sense? You know, that's what we were seeing. We were seeing patterns where you guys were saying, yeah, that makes sense. There seems to be reasons why what we're seeing is true. And that should make you feel more confident.
There's an example that happens every year.
Okay.
Which has to do with student schools evaluation chart. And
School rankings, right.
Each newspaper comes out with a different ranking. We say, this is the ranking from Público, this is the ranking from Expresso, and
What is the ranking based on? Is it on test scores?
test scores.
Test scores, okay. I think that's actually, I may have that one here. Let's see here. I think we looked at it last year. Somewhere here I have school ranks 2010. Here we go.
The number of students per class, for instance.
Right.
The total amount of students for each school.
Okay. Yeah, this one didn't have that. It had the exam scores and so on. But this is data that actually I think you got for me last year, or it came out just while we were doing something. And again, I mean, I agree with you. I'd look at this and I say, you know, how valid are these? Are all these schools using the same grading standard? You know, if some schools are harder than others, then maybe it isn't a fair ranking at all. Okay, maybe you know, this may be an example of where it is good for you to do your own. I guess the best answer on the fact that there are differences is you have to be transparent to your readers. You know, no matter what method you use, you have to tell your readers, here's the method we used. Here's how we came up with this. Last year, when Antonio and I were doing crowd counting, you know, we estimated the size of the crowds in the labor marches and came up with obviously very different numbers than what the officials were saying. But part of what we tried to do when we announced the results that we got was say, here is how we got it. You know, we didn't just pull the number out of the air. You know, we measured the area that the crowd was in. We did other things. Antonio actually got nice pictures from above, and we were able to demonstrate how we came up with our answer, which gives it credibility. So.